to schedule tonight. I know you guys have busy schedules, and we've got some online people here as well. So welcome everybody. My name is Jade Singleton. I'm the Open Pit Consulting Manager at Mining Plus, and I'm a proud WA NAWO committee member. It's so wonderful that you are all here with us today. So as I said just before, we've also got a gathering up in our regional hub in Karratha. Welcome guys. And we've also got about 70 people online that are listening as well. We are all here to pizzazz your profile. Before we begin, I'd like to just give an acknowledgement of country. So first I'd like to start this by everyone just taking a deep breath. Ground yourself to this present moment. Appreciate what brought you here today and what support you have for your tomorrow. I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the prosperous lands where we gather today. The Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, for those here in Perth, and the Naraluma people for those at our regional hybrid event in Karratha. And of course, all of you online, the various lands in which you are based, I pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I recognise their connection to country and their role in caring for and maintaining our country over thousands of years. May their strength and wisdom be with us today as we make the most of this opportunity to learn and to connect. I acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of this city, this region and all the lands in which we work, live and play. Okay, so welcome. A little bit of housekeeping. There are bathrooms located at the back of the room if you need to go. Our evacuation process is the same way you came in, so downstairs and heading out onto the terrace to gather over there. Our speakers, we're not going to actually use mics tonight, so our speakers are just going to be speaking to you like we're in a living room at someone's house, which is kind of special. But what it does mean is any noise in the room will be picked up by the cameras for our online listeners. So if we can please keep the noise down. You're welcome to get up and grab another drink or some food when food arrives, but just keep the noise down if you can. Not sure how many of you have heard of Adoba, but a huge thank you to Adoba for having us here. They've recently joined the NAWO community, and we're really thankful they've sponsored and supported us to have the event today. I'd like to invite Sarah Coleman, the CEO, just to provide a short welcome to you all. If you want to come up to the front, Sarah. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen, and thanks for the beautiful welcome to country. I love it when actually I went on to the training that NAWO had a little while ago. It's awesome. Acknowledge the exactly awesome seeing people actually read your own story. So thank you. Look, welcome everyone. I'll only talk for a couple of seconds. So as Jade mentioned, we're Adoba, we're our newest member of NAWO. We're really excited to actually join it. I won't go into a massive amount of detail about who Adoba is, but we've been around for a couple of years now. We're a digital mining technology organisation, but we are incredibly passionate about diversity of thought and really using that diversity of thought to really drive change in the industry and particularly in the mining industry, looking at how we can actually drive out changing within that. So our team embraces all things diversity. We're about 160 people in the business. We're about 35% female. We're about 30 or 40% neurodiverse in the team. We've got about 28 different nationalities, and we've got ages ranging from about 17 up to nearly 72, 73. So in my view, we don't actually have a diversity and inclusion problem in our industry. We actually have a diversity and inclusion solution to an innovation and creativity problem. So that's really where we're focusing and saying, how do we actually harness that collective knowledge of all this amazing different diversity of thought and create that melting pot in here to actually give new services and digital products to the industry. So we're super excited to be part of NAWO, super excited to host this event tonight, really excited about what the speakers are going to talk to us about. Hopefully you all get something about it. There's a few Adoba members in the audience, so if you want to know more about what we do, please feel free to grab some of us and have a chat.
Thank you, Sarah. So we are all in great company here in the NAWO network. We are a network of organisations and people connected by our vision to see gender diversity valued and balanced at every level of operations. So just a little bit on NAWO. At all our events, digital and in person, we relate them to one of our 5 key learning priorities. You can check them out online on our website. The NAWO learning priority in focus for us this evening, we've actually got 2, is maximising your effectiveness and your influencing and negotiations. So hopefully you'll pick up a few learnings and tips and tricks that you can take out into into your everyday life at work and maybe even in your personal lives. So we are really excited today for our lineup of speakers. You guys are pretty lucky to be here today and to be online. Each one is going to bring you a unique perspective to this topic, and we know you will love the wisdom they have to share. Today, to make logistics a little bit easier, and because we're hosting in 2 locations, we're going to do the speakers first, and at the end of the third speaker, we're going to do Q&A. We'll open it up for questions from the audience and online. We'll probably preference the online first, because then once we shut down virtual, you guys can still mingle around and talk. All the presenters are going to stay for a little bit afterwards as well and enjoy some food and some beverages. I think that's about it for the logistics. So now I get to introduce Nathanial Bibby. So he's our first speaker for today. He's going to give you a little bit of insight into how to maximise your online profile. Despite the huge shifts that we've had in digital communications, many professionals out there are still unsure of the best way to create a strong online presence and which platforms are most appropriate. So Nathanial Bibby is the Managing Director of LinkedIn marketing agency Bibby Consulting Group, which has generated over 500 million in sales for their clients from LinkedIn. Clients include Apple, Westpac, Channel 7, CEO Institute, Western Union, and many more. Nathanial won the Best Use of LinkedIn for the Social Media Marketing Awards 2 years in a row, both in 2019 and 2020. He is ranked #1 LinkedIn expert in the APAC region with over 150,000 followers on social media. Nathanial loves creating content and is the host of the Nathanial Bibby podcast, LinkedIn Heroes, and Monday Night Live. Nathanial will be sharing ideas and tips of how to put specifically your LinkedIn account on steroids and how to effectively build a network that can transform your career opportunities. Please welcome Nathanial Bibby.
Thank you for the kind introduction. It's always nice hearing all those words. So I'll share a little bit about my background and how I got into LinkedIn. I was working for a digital marketing firm that had just expanded into Melbourne, and just got the job, and I'm asking the boss, what are the best clients for the online marketing agency? Because when you're new in a business, you don't get all the leads given to you. You've got to be proactive. And he said, look, medical practices are the best, dental practices, cosmetic surgeons, that kind of thing. So I actually went down like Chapel Street and all through Melbourne, trying to knock on their doors, and the practice manager would stop me from speaking to the surgeon, so it didn't work. And I got on the phone and tried to call to speak to the surgeon or the decision maker, couldn't get through. And this was a time that I just set up a LinkedIn profile, and there was actually a photograph of me in a nightclub in Thailand on there. So I use the same photograph that I use on Facebook, and I'm going like this in a nightclub. And I thought, I wonder if these guys are on here. So I'm like searching for cosmetic surgeons in Melbourne, and sure enough, they have profiles. And so I reached out to 10 of them, sent them connection requests. I had 6 replies from those messages, had 4 meetings, and I made 1 sale. But it was the ideal type of client. So I found a way that I could proactively reach out to decision makers, not just in this industry, but any industry that I wanted to target. And so I started sending out more messages the next week. I sent out 20 and I made 2 sales. These are high value sales, a lot bigger than some of the other sales guys were getting. And it wasn't long till I was getting so many leads that I didn't have time to spend time on LinkedIn. I had to do all the appointments, so I got an assistant. My boss said, would you like an assistant? So that could be great. She can do all my LinkedIn work for me. And so I thought, well, if I can delegate it to an assistant, surely I can get companies to delegate what I'm doing to me. And that's when I started my own business doing LinkedIn marketing. 10 years ago, there was about 200 million members on LinkedIn, which seems like a lot. There's 930 million members on there today. So it's just grown like this. It's just skyrocketed, which has been great for business. It's just been a growing industry. And when I started on LinkedIn, you couldn't post content on there. There was only 200 guys that could post content on there. Guys like Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, and then they allowed you to post content. So I was like, oh, I've got to figure this out, nail this. First of all, it was just articles. And I learned that because it was new to LinkedIn, if you knew what you were doing, you could hack the algorithm and get potentially hundreds of thousands of views if you knew what you were doing and did it the right way. So I've just spent the last 10 years testing and measuring everything on LinkedIn to see what works. More recently, it's video content. Video content's shared 20 times more than anything else on LinkedIn. But it's got to be good video content, because after the first 3 seconds, if it's not engaging, you're going to lose half the audience. And by 10 seconds, it's about 70% of the audience you're going to lose if you're not engaging. So I see a lot of people on LinkedIn, and most of them are on there and just don't really know what to do. They get the notifications, they get the connection requests, they get the sales messages, and they're wondering why they're getting so many pitches from recruiters, and they're not really sure what to do. So in the short time that we have, I'm kind of want to just give you a few things that you can do on your profile, and then we'll answer some questions later. There's always a lot of questions about LinkedIn. So the first thing you want to do is avoid some of the big mistakes. I think it's a lot easier to identify the mistakes than there is to tell you exactly what to do. So a lot of people just use LinkedIn as their CV, you know. And even if you're using LinkedIn to advance your career, it's not a CV, it's a social media profile. So there are some things that you want to do differently, and you want to put some marketing flair onto it. So the most important part, I'm glad you got the photographs being done tonight, because it's a photograph. It needs to be a professional photograph. And you'll notice that when you look at a LinkedIn profile, the cover image at the background, that helps you stand out a lot. When somebody looks at your profile, it's going to make you stand out a lot. You want to put something in there that helps build credibility or relevancy. So it could be as simple as putting a picture of the Perth skyline in there. You're based in Perth, you know, if you're connecting with employers or potential staff members or whatever it may be in Perth, that is a degree of relevancy. Although it's subtle, something like that, it is familiar to people that are looking at it. If you've got any certifications, awards or anything like that, put them in the cover image. That's your space to do that. And then you want to make sure that your headline is not just the stock standard job title. You know, lots of people have their business analyst or even managing director. What does that? Doesn't really tell people what you do exactly. I'd suggest making it a bit more descriptive than that. You can have that in there, but also add to it. Either tell people what the value that you provide is, or what industry you're in. This is a great place to put in keywords. So it's you know, I talk about LinkedIn profiles as three areas really that I look at: is visibility, credibility, and then conversions. So when it comes to visibility, you want it ranking towards the top when people are searching for what you do. So if recruiters are looking for talent, you want them to be able to find you. If people are looking for your services, you want them to be able to find you. So it's about putting relevant keywords in places like your headline, in your skills section, so that you show up towards the top. And then once you're getting profile views, you want to make sure that when people come to your profile, they're impressed and they take the next step to reach out to you. So it's about writing an about section that's tailored towards the person that you want to connect with on LinkedIn, because we've all got different objectives. You know, traditionally my profile has been very much customer focused on getting customers. A lot of people want to advance their career. A lot of people just want to build business relationships. Some people want to recruit talent. So you write your profile with that objective in mind. So you always have a section at the top called the about section. That should be written in first person and explain who you are, what you do, why you do it, and what people can do next to get in touch with you. So it doesn't have to be, you know, a salesy pitch, but you need to give people the next step. If they do want to reach out to you, invite them to. Pretty simple, really. The other thing you want to do with your LinkedIn profile is build social proof, which is the credibility piece that I was talking about. One of the best ways to do that is by getting recommendations on your LinkedIn profile. It might sound like a really basic thing to do, but very few people do it. And all you need is more recommendations than the next guy and you're going to stand out, because all these things are going to help you stand out from the crowd. Is anybody posting content on LinkedIn? Doesn't have to be regular. Okay, cool. Well, it's about like 1% of the members on LinkedIn are actually posting content. So you stand out just by doing it. If you're consistent, then you're in the top 50%, and if you're doing video, then you're way above everyone else. And so people always ask me, how do you get engagement on your content? Well, everything on LinkedIn comes back to your network. So my experience on LinkedIn is going to be very different to Jay's, for example, because it comes down to our network. So if you treat LinkedIn in a reactive manner, so you log on there and you see the invitations that have come your way, and you either just hit accept, or maybe you decline a few, you are being reactive. You know, you're not being proactive with who you want in your network and actually being the one sending the invitations out. So when I get when people say to me, oh, LinkedIn's great, but I just get all these sales letters in my inbox, I know that they've been reactive with their profile, because most of the time the people that are going to be sending you connection requests are going to be salespeople or recruiters. They've got some objective in mind while they're reaching out to you. They don't know you, right? So I suggest being proactive, using the search feature on LinkedIn to connect with people in your industry, or the industry that you want to target, or industry you're interested in partnering with, finding people in that industry and being the one to proactively send out invitations. You can send up to 100 of these a week. And for the clients that I'm running lead generation campaigns for, that's what we do. We're very aggressive with it. We personalise the invites. So if you notice something on their profile that's relevant, even if you've got mutual connections or you have an interest in their company, say that. Rather than telling them all about yourself, show interest in what they're doing when you're sending out the invitations. Because we all get lots of invitations. If you send out a thoughtful one, it stands out from the crowd. So as you're building this quality network, then you'll have an audience to start posting content to. Whereas if you're being reactive and you've got people from all over the shop, it's going to be very hard to engage that audience because it's not targeted. You don't know who you're speaking to. So when you're posting content, you've got to think about things that will add value. And there's 4 ways to add value with content online. There's entertainment, which you see very little of on LinkedIn actually. It's a great way to stand out from the crowd if you're a comedian or something, to do something entertaining, or throw entertainment in with a bit of education. Education's another one, but we do see a lot of that on LinkedIn. So it's got to be good quality. Inspiration's one that works really well. I use inspiration a lot. You just got to be careful about appearing like a wanker. I don't know.
It's okay.
Because a lot of people, you see them on your news feed, like, oh, I'm the best, I won this award. You've got to do it in a thoughtful way. Come back to gratitude and show appreciation for your customers. You can even use inspirational posts to post something about your customers or your colleagues or your business associates. I do it very often with my clients. If they kick a goal, I post about it. So I just wanted to congratulations to da-da-da. And people are attracted to those sort of posts. I celebrate milestones and things like that as well. I'm just very careful about how I word it, so I don't appear like a wanker. So the 4th one is information, right? So if you want to be the gatekeeper of information to your audience, if you've got a company update, something's happening, the event tonight could be a great one to share information about what's going on, then share it on LinkedIn. And you'll soon work out what's the type of content that your audience engages with. You really want to start posting content that's going to get comments. Comments are what drives views, really. Shares do very little on LinkedIn, and likes do a bit more, but comments are really the key. LinkedIn want to show content where people are engaging in the conversation. If you can do videos statistically does the best on LinkedIn. Keep it short, 2 minutes. You can now automatically add subtitles into the video. And really focus on making that first 10 seconds engaging to hook people in. But photos and things like that are great as well. Articles, the best ones are quite long and detailed, so you have to do a lot of research to do them successfully. Worthwhile doing, but if you're not a writer, then stick with images and videos, you'll find it a lot easier. If you are ever running a LinkedIn event, LinkedIn events is fantastic because you can set up an event and you can invite your entire network to come along. And it'll come through as like a connection request. So-and-so invited you to an event. So you can send up to 1,000 a week. And if NAWO is running an event, multiple people could be inviting their network. It doesn't have to be just one. Up to 1,000 people a week. So I was invited to speak at a online LinkedIn Live, a couple of weeks time. And there's like 3 or 4 speakers. And he's asked us all to invite our network. So within a couple of weeks now, there's 2,000 people coming along. Really powerful. So it's something that works a lot better than anything I've done in the past when it comes to online events. And I wanted to cover one more thing, didn't I? I think one of the important things to think about when you're creating your profile is what type of creator do you want to be? Because you can set up your profile as a LinkedIn creator profile, and then you can tell the topics that you want to talk about to LinkedIn. So I think that's worthwhile doing if you are going to be posting content. When you log into LinkedIn, you should see something pop up saying, do you want to convert to a creator profile? Just have a look at that, because that way you can tell LinkedIn exactly what you're talking about. And then you just want to be consistent with that when it comes to things like hashtags. You know, just using similar hashtags every time you post content, because you're training the algorithm about what you talk about. I think that's really important. And also be proactive with engaging on other people's content as well. A strategy that works really well to build your profile, build your connections, is leaving thoughtful comments on other people's posts. How are we doing for time?
Good. 7 minutes. 7 minutes to go.
7 minutes to go. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we could talk about LinkedIn Live. LinkedIn Live, like one of the things I like about LinkedIn is it follows the other social media platforms with a delay of like 2 to 3 years. So when you look at like Facebook, when it introduced Facebook Live, we knew LinkedIn would do really well when it introduced it. So you have to apply to be a live streamer on LinkedIn. But again, it's a great way to reach a lot of members in your network. You can tie it in with LinkedIn events now as well. So it's very easy to host an online event if you want to invite your entire network to a LinkedIn Live. It's a great strategy to grow your audience. And I just suggest really focusing on who's in your network and building your network. And then if you're looking for a role, or you're looking to connect with a partner, or looking to connect with customers, send them a private message and say, hey, I'd be interested in finding out more about what you do. Can we have an offline discussion? You know. So the way that we generate leads for our customers is we use that 3-step process: find, which is the targeting piece; connect, just add them to your network, and then engaging them, set an offline appointment. Now, when it comes to content creation, as you know, I'm very big on video, and so I use a strategy where I batch create my content, and I do the same thing for clients. I've hosted an interview series called LinkedIn Heroes, where I interview different entrepreneurs about their story, and I found that the best content really comes down to the questions that you ask in those interviews. And so when I'm thinking about how do I create video content for my clients that is engaging, and they perhaps don't have any experience being on camera, or not necessarily very exciting when they're just talking to them about their business to the camera, I thought, well, I conduct an interview with them, and then I use that interview to be chopped up into short videos. So a 45-minute interview turns into 20 short 2-minute videos, and then we add subtitles, we put B-roll footage over the top, headlines, branded intros and outros, and then we cut out all of the irrelevant stuff, all of the waffling and the ums and the ahs, so that it's engaging, so you don't lose people. Because the attention curve with video is pretty much like this. You might see that you've got 1,000 views, but very few of them will be watching all the way to the end unless it's really quick and punchy, because people's attention is just shifting so fast in the news feed. And LinkedIn knows like how long people are spending on your content, you know. So you might get all those views, but if people aren't sticking around on the video, it's not actually going to go to the top of the news feed. It needs that engagement, and there's something called dwell time, which is how long people are actually spending on your video or even on your article. Like LinkedIn measure how long people are actually looking at this article, whether they're coming through and just leaving again, and that'll help with your views as well. So it's really, because you want to get to the top of the newsfeed with your content, but it's not going to be the same for everyone. It's the news feeds that you're going to get to the top of are the people that have engaged with your stuff before, likely be interested in the topics. They're probably already in your network. But if you're corresponding with somebody privately, like if you're sending private messages to somebody, the fact that you're doing that, even though it's behind the scenes, LinkedIn knows that you're corresponding with them, so that it's likely to show your content to them. So if you're adding connections and posting content, as they come into your network, the chances are the next time they log onto LinkedIn, they'll see your post towards the top of the newsfeed. So be thinking about that when you're on LinkedIn, like engaging on other people's content, having private conversations, all help with the visibility of your content. But the easiest way to get more eyeballs to have the potential to see your content is just to have more connections. So I'm not suggesting that you just add everyone, but be targeted and be proactive about it. Invite people into your network, even if you just do 10 a week. you're proactively growing your network, and it becomes an asset to your professional brand. I think LinkedIn network's way more powerful these days than an email database, because people change their emails all the time. You know, that network's going to stay with you for the lifetime of your career, so it's worth investing in. And yeah, I think that's it. Look forward to the questions later.